everybody. Welcome to Improv FAQ at Length. This is a series of longer conversations about improv topics that have lots of questions surrounding them. I'm James Quesada.
And I'm Bob Wick.
And we have a guest joining us for this episode, our good buddy, Jake Russell. Welcome, Jake.
Yeah.
Hey, what up, though?
Yeah.
James, Bob, what's up?
Hey, man.
What's up, buddy? Good seeing you.
Yeah, it's really good to see you. And thanks for joining us. This is going to be a show and tell episode, which is a sort of like sub-series that we've been doing, sharing stories about shows that we've developed and been part of and the things that we learn from those shows. And Bob and I wanted to talk to you, Jake, about your show, Birth of a Ho-Ass Nation, which is your solo show. And so we'll talk all about the show and where it left off leading up to the pandemic. But for starters, can you give us just a brief description or summary of what the show is, how you describe it to people?
Sure. So how I usually describe it to people is like, Birth of a Ho-Ass Nation is pretty much about the true history of this country through how I see it, and like pretty much how it would have been if I was a slave back then. Yeah. And so it's pretty much about me through slavery, but like telling the true history of how the country was started, pretty much how America became America.
Yeah, and so it's just you, and you have a small coat rack of wigs and hats and stuff to signify different characters, and you bounce around the stage doing a one-man show.
All the characters,
Yep. Yeah, that's exactly. I play all the characters. The very exhausting choice that I chose. But
But that's part of the entertainment, the challenge, man, and you crush it.
Yeah, it's part of the. I play every character, and I wanted to make it kind of loose, like not like like kind of not as traditional as your normal solo shows or any type of like written show or whatever. Try to make it a little looser, not as traditional as the other, like a show you may see.
Yeah. So let me ask you about that, because I remember in the first run of it that it was supposed to be like a 50-minute time slot, and like I don't know if you ever got it under an hour, and there were some runs of it where you went like an hour 20. Yeah. So that wasn't part of the non-traditional. That wasn't me trying to be non-traditional. That was just me. It just ran fucking long. Yeah. But so I guess my question with it is like, how much of it do you have a script, or is it just like a story outline that you work your way through, like scene by scene, and however long the scenes take? How much of it is actually written down?
No, a lot of it was written down. When I started off writing it, me and my director, Mike McGettigan, I wrote down the beats of how I what I wanted to say, what I wanted to say in each part of the story. Pretty much just laid out like what I wanted to do, like what this scene's about, what this scene's about, and then went back and just fleshed it out. I had like a shitload of pages of stuff, pretty much. So it was written, stuff was written. It wasn't like I know where it's like. I'm just going off beats. I know where it's going from here, even though it felt that way, because when I performed it, a lot of things, I green lighted a lot of things. Like I changed a lot of lines and whatever.
Yeah. And the show really highlights your ability to trash talk, because you do a lot of trash talking against yourself.
Yeah.
And I appreciate it's just a very cool infusion between like you are going all the way back to I think, what does it start in, like 1680 or something? And you're playing cards with a lion in Africa. Yeah. And then it goes all the way up until like Civil War, or where does it end of the timeline in the show?
Well, the original end of the timeline was like when Lincoln freed the slaves, or when the Emancipation Proclamation dropped. That's like the original ending. Since I've redone it, I've cut I kind of cut a lot of stuff out, and the ending is like kind of like right at the beginning of the Civil War, around that time.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
Jake, how long has this been going on? Because this is one of those shows that feel like it's been going on forever, but it also feels like a show that's very new. You know what I'm saying? Because it's always changing, but man, I can't remember when to start, just because it feels like it's always been around.
Yeah. Like how? I'm sorry.
What was the first? What was the first year that you did the show?
Yeah, first run.
Yeah, exactly. My bad. 2017.
All right.
February 2017. That's why I first did the show.
Okay, and then just to real quick give a little more context of the kind of style of the show is that you're doing this historical storyline, but you're infusing all this like modern stuff. You're playing you're playing Uno with the lion, and
right.
There's like Jerry curls, and you reference Ice Cube and rap albums and modern stuff. And you. Yeah, as a slave, get taken from Africa to America, and then like the founding fathers are your slave masters, and so on and so forth. So it's very much like this kind of broad representation of a giant storyline. And so how did formulating this show begin? When did you have the idea to put up a solo show and this story in particular? And what were the early stages of developing it?
Okay, so as far as the idea of doing a solo show, I did this sketch show at Go Comedy, which is the venue I first performed Whole Ass Nation at. But I forgot. I think the sketch show was like a class schedule called Big Trouble in Little Ferndale. I think that was the name of it.
Oh yeah.
Or no. What does the Fox News say? I think What the Fox News Say. I think that's what it was called.
Yeah.
But I think but anyway, damn. I did like a solo, I did like a solo skit, like a solo runners in that show. And one of the co-directors of the show, Andrew Seiler, shout out Andrew Seiler, wherever you at, probably not whatever, but he told me that I should consider doing a solo show by my fucking self. That's what he said. I should consider doing that. So ever since then, I was like, maybe I should. I had it back on mind. Maybe I should do it. And then I did the show. I kept doing like runners for the Matt Nas variety show.
Oh yeah.
Shout out to Matt Nas, and because he really liked it when he first saw me doing those solo scenes. And when I kept doing that, when I kept doing that and got more comfortable, that's when I was like, okay, now I want to do an actual show. Now I'm comfortable enough to put a show together. So the original idea was I wanted to do a history of hip hop show. That's what I wanted to do. And I wanted to kind of correlate the hip hop and because it's hip hop is it's always been the voice of the people, always been the voice of people. That's how I started. That was the essence of it. But I wanted to correlate that for different songs, hip hop history, and how compare it to different stories, different stories about social issues going on in America. That's how I wanted to do it. That's what I originally wanted to do. But I don't know. It just became, I don't know. I kept changing it. I kept saying I wanted to I wanted to add music, kind of add a DJ, but then I didn't. And then I don't know. It just became. It became the stuff I want to do. It was too much of. It would be a expensive production.
Okay.
With the idea I had, so it's
it sounds amazing though.
Yeah, DJ and video and all this other shit, a whole bunch of shit.
Yeah,
I wanted some kind of dancers, like kind of like some dancers too, like some b-boy or dance. Like there was a lot of shit I wanted, but it just became too much for me at the time because you know, I was broke and I had to utilize some more economic resources. So
Yeah.
I just I got with Mike McGettigan. He's the one who I wanted to direct my show because I don't know.
Because he's Mike McGettigan. Yeah.
Because he's Mike McGettigan. Shout out to Mike McGettigan.
Yeah.
But I worked with him for prior shows, and you know, he Mike told me like, hey man, like you're funny, like you're a strong performer, like I fucks with you. It was like, oh, cool, man. So like, you know, I was like, I want to, and like just Mike's teaching style, I appreciate it a lot. You know, he try to he compliments, like he try to like help me bring out my more grounded type style I got. So that's why I wanted him to direct it, and I was trying to do the hip hop thing. So, but then like one day I was just wrote out a bunch of stuff like I want to do history. Like maybe I should just do the fucking history of this country. I'll just do that. So I just came up with ideas, and it's like, well, I'm playing cards with a fucking lion, and then like, and I just came up with, like, I'm talking to a lion. I'm playing cards. We're playing Uno. I'm like, what the fuck? Why? Like, and it's like, and then I'm thinking like, it's like the 1600s. There's no fucking Uno back then. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Well, wait, there's no talking fucking lion either. What the fuck is this? What's going on? You know what I'm saying?
You're playing cards with a lion, and your issue is the game isn't realistic.
Yeah, exactly. So then I'm like, you know what? This is stupid as hell. I told Mike, he was like, no, that's good. So then I just built on that. Like, you know what? I'm just going to bring modern tropes into this because like, there's a lot of like, there's a lot of things. There's still a lot of things that happened back then that are still happening today, just in different form. Like even though we're in slavery, we're still like modern day slaves because of, you know, the oppression and oppression and like you know and like just like, you know, like the flooding the community with drugs and stuff like that. Well, that's part of oppression. But yeah, pretty much oppression. Like it's all modern day stuff. Like I have a line like in there about like the Northland plantation for all our for people, only people in Detroit get that reference, Northland Mall.
Yeah.
And I say the Northland plantation because, you know, we make like saying like we make money, then we go to the mall and splurge it on splurging on bullshit, like, you know, shoes and clothes and stuff like that and whatever. And like, you know, it's just like we're just modern day slaves, just going to, we're not like saving our money. We're not saving our money. We're like we're still like mind controlled and stuff like that. That's if that makes sense. That's what I was trying to get with.
Absolutely, yeah.
That's what I was trying to go with that. And it's all part of like the plan of whatever. But that's why I did modern tropes. Like there's still like we're still controlled today because like I don't know, society is just kind of still brainwashed by the American dream or the American bullshit or whatever, all that stuff. So yeah. If that makes sense.
Absolutely, yeah, and that's what I love about that infusion between how far back the storyline goes and how you just kind of without explanation, and I don't think there's one that's needed, but just to mash up modern stuff. There's also like initially you play Jake yourself in this situation, and Jake gets baited onto the slave boat with the promise of there being Jordans on the slave boat. And one of my favorite lines in there or things to that point that you're talking about, Jake, is that when you get on the boat and you're disappointed that there's no Jordans, one of the lines is from another guy that's already on the boat that's like, well, actually there were Jordans until we all started killing each other over them, and now there's no more Jordans, but there used to be. And it's like it does, like, in this really absurd, funny, poetic way, match up with like the layered ways that that black people are manipulated and turned against each other and all that.
Yeah, like all the bullshit, all the like the chains are physically broken, but they're not broken from the mind, shit like that.
Yeah.
Shit like that. That's like one example of that. So yeah.
So you develop this show. How long does it take you to develop? Because you kind of started working with Mike just on the idea that you wanted to do a solo show. You wanted to do something kind of a historical story, and it kind of developed as you went. How long did it take from just being like a vague idea to launching the show?
We started around like November, so it was about let's say end of November. I'll say a little over 2 months, because we were done in like January. We were done around January, and that's when I'll say a little over 2 months.
Okay, cool. And then so you launched the show, and I'm curious, like what I remember it being such a packed house for your opening night.
Yes.
And I think you had like a 4-week run, right? Was it 3 or 4 weeks?
Yeah.
It was 4. It was originally 2 weeks, and then it got extended 2 more weeks.
Yeah, and it was great. It was like I think Thursday 10 o'clock spot, and like I said, it was I think I might have been working at the time, or I can't remember,
right.
but like it's an hour-long slot, went an hour and 20 to like an oversold audience. Very exciting. And so tell me about the audience response and how it felt to have a big successful payoff to the show.
The audience reaction was amazing. Like I was surprised how many people reacted to it, because I knew people would like it or appreciate it, but I didn't know if they were gonna laugh, because it's like this, because I know I'm joking, but I'm talking about serious shit in this show, like some real like fucked up shit. So and the audience is the audience was majority white people, so white people get a little uncomfortable talking about race and slavery. They get uncomfortable talk about. So like the fact that they like were able to like make them kind of like relax and make them laugh, laughing at it and shit, that surprised me, and that was like very that was calming for me at the top, because once I had them at the top, like probably in like the first few minutes of the show, once I had them on top, it was like, okay, like they on board. Let's do it. I got to let it, like, don't hold any punches. Just fuck it, and then just let it all out. Tell the story, and they laugh at even when I'm like hitting them in the head about how racist white people is, how privileged they are and shit. Even when I'm hitting them in the head with that, they still laughing. They still like, yeah, this is true. Oh my God, you know what I'm saying? So
yeah.
That reaction was great, and also in addition to like when we were talking about like the time, because the time is like only I said it was supposed to be like 50 minutes, and it was in an hour 20. A lot of people told me like they a lot of people say they looked at the time. They looking at the time of the show. It was like, whoa, like it's 11 something. But then it was like it didn't feel long. That was another thing too.
Absolutely, yeah. It flew.
Like the first night, a lot of people told me like it didn't feel long. Like we looked down, it's like, oh shit, like it's late. But like they were like, it didn't feel long at all. Like they were engaged.
Yeah, and part of that is because you left yourself so much room to greenlight and riff on moments and back and forths in the scene. Right. You could also really work the vibe of the audience and play into what was hitting. What did people say after the show? Do they come up to you? And what kind of feedback did you get directly from people that talked to you after the show and stuff?
Trying to remember. I just remember a lot of people. a lot of people said they loved it. A lot of people said like, this is something we need in the community. And I just remember a lot of people saying like, a lot of people asked me like, how the fuck did you do that for an hour and 20? Like I was expecting you to do it for an hour. I was like, some people said I thought you were going to die and shit. 'Cause there was one point when I left the stage to spit in the trash can. There was like one part, cause like I was like I actually like I couldn't talk and I was like, there was like, there was phlegm in my throat and it was uncomfortable. I was like, fuck it. And I left. I went back in the curtain, spit, and I came out and I had to tell people like, hey, I had to spit. That's what I got to do. I'm the only one up here. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah. So they were just saying like how the fuck did you do that? Like how did you get away with that? Like how did you do that? You know what I'm saying? Like they were just wondering. I was like, I don't fucking know. But mostly like just amaze people and people said they needed it. I know a lot of my friends who came, they really appreciated it. On my immediate, my closest friends who are black, they really, really appreciated it. And it was like, fuck yeah, man, like yeah, like yes, like talk that shit. Like they was happy, like extremely happy. They was happy that like they felt represented, and also they were happy for me because they was like seeing me in a different light. Because I never thought I'd be doing some shit like this ever.
Yeah,
ever.
Let me ask you about that too, because correct me if I'm wrong, but like you have done a lot of coming out of your shell in the arc of being an improviser. I don't know if like, would you consider yourself shy when you started improvising?
Yeah.
And then, so I remember one of the things that made a big impression on me was just how cool it was to see you let loose and really just be fully on fire that way.
Yeah, so animated because you usually walk around with I would say like a pretty low pulse. Like, you're always in a good mood and everything when we're hanging out at the bar and whatnot. But to see you on stage on fire was just like next level. And for like 90 minutes straight, like that was a workout. That was some CrossFit.
Yeah, I burned some calories that night.
Yeah,
definitely.
Yeah. But that's cool. So as a moment for you to like really lean into and discover your voice, that must have been really exciting too. Like, did you feel that same way that like, holy shit, I'm kind of lighting up in a new way?
Yeah, I did like gain a like new sense of confidence after that show. It's like, okay, this is it. Like this is like, okay, this is like I think I've arrived. I think I found my thing. Like I feel like I found my voice. I finally like broke out of I finally broke loose. Like I'm not in my head. I'm not and I stopped giving a fuck. So yeah, if that answer your question.
Yeah, absolutely. And
that's gotta be a great feeling. Yeah.
Yeah. And then in terms of representing the Black community, how much of that were you also excited about, when you were getting feedback from your closer friends and also, I don't know, playing around with the tension with white audience versus Black audience? Does it become, and let's say even between like doing it in 2017 and then you had a big gap before you did it again earlier this year, right? Or did you run it a couple times in between?
Yeah, I ran it. I think I did it. I did it a few times every year. I'm pretty sure I did. Yeah,
and at like every theater, you've played at almost every improv theater. Or
every theater, yeah. And I've done it 3 times at Chicago Sketch Fest as well.
Which for that one, yeah.
I knew
you had to shorten it, right? I'm sorry.
No, sorry, Bob. You go ahead.
For the Chicago run, right? Like they only gave you like what 25 minutes, so you had to take this big production and shrink it to like a 25-minute show. How did that feel?
Actually, I did. Actually, I cut it down to. I got it down to 40 because originally I was going to do 20 minutes, but then like the person the slot I had I think I had an 8 o'clock slot, and I was sharing the 8 o'clock hour slot with somebody else, but for like 20 minutes, but they couldn't make it across the border. They were in Canada or something.
Wow.
So the Sketchfest producers called me the night before and said that, hey, can you hold down the whole hour, a whole block? And I was like,
yeah,
fuck yeah, I can. Yeah. All right.
Yeah, I can do that block and half of the next one if you want me to.
Yeah. So then I did it. So I did that. So I went there, I knocked it out, and then me and Mike was like, yeah, fuck yeah. Mike came with me. It was like, yeah, man, this is like, everyone liked it. It was cool. And then they loved it. And I did the 8 o'clock slot on Friday and Saturday. I think it was at 8 o'clock, maybe 7 or 8. I'm not sure, but I did a prime slot for Friday and Saturday. Wow. And they asked me, and the next year I didn't even have to apply, submit to Sketchfest. They asked me to come back. So for a full slot, and they also asked me to come back and bring it, like, not for just Sketchfest, but just bring it back in general, bring it back for the spring or summer, because people need to see it. And that was the plan this year before everything shut down. I did plan on bringing it there to perform for the summer. So yeah, but
you talked about bringing it to New York too.
Yeah. Yep.
You kind of planning like a as much of a tour as you could make out of it.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
what was the plan.
And so, in terms of being a show that people's response is like it's something that people need to see, is there negative pressure along with that, or are you mostly just happy and validated and excited that your show is giving a message that people are really supporting?
I think I'm happy that people are like. I'm happy with the response that people get from it, like that people are accepting my message, and I love that they rocking with it, because I just feel like a lot of these things, there's a lot of things that people want to hear, people, especially in like the theater community or the comedy community. Like, this is what people. I feel like this is like what people want to see. Like, they want to talk about real shit. So
yeah.
And also like a lot of I feel like a lot of white people that are not racist and they're progress and homophobic, just the good white people, the ones that are homophobic and misogynistic and racist, those people, they want to see something, like they want, a lot of them, like, they'll feel guilty trying to speak on our struggle, and they'll be like, they don't want to do it, and they'll just recommend, like, and they're talking to their white friends. She was like, you need to see my friend Jake's show. You need to go see his show. You should go see it, or whatever. I'm like you just recommended my show to people. Yeah. Like, you're not even like trying to like just explain like racism or the Black experience. Like, no, I'm not gonna. No, go see my friend Jake's show.
It's a good thing that people are recommending your show, but I guess that's kind of what I'm wondering, is that, like, is there pressure, or like, is there any kind of being annoyed about like everyone pointing to you to be like the Black voice of the community in any capacity?
Okay. Pressure. I would say there was a little pressure, probably, like pressure or anxiety about one, like not worried about, like, not so about like white people, but more so of like how Black people will respond to it, more so. Like, I was more like, 'cause I was like wondering, like if Black people come see it, and they're gonna be like what the fuck this motherfucker doing? He making a mockery of our shit? Like not like nah. You know what I'm saying? Like I thought it was gonna be like I was kind of like wondering like how they would respond to it, but every person, as far as I know, every person, every black person who's seen it, they fuck with it. They fuck with it heavy, and that's people who came to go, Planet Ant, Pointless, out in Chicago saw it. Everyone who saw it, they fuck with it.
Yeah.
Like, you know,
and there's a really great scene in the show where you this Jerry Curl Uncle Tom character who it's so dark, but the and I guess spoiler alert on this, but he get called into his office or his quarters in the plantation or whatever, and
his cabin.
Oh, of course, yeah. But and then he like just yells at you, and he's like this maniac, and then he asks you for the gun and the gunpowder, and it's like you're doing like the ramrod, bang bang, and then he just kills himself, and then he disintegrates, and you take over the Jerry Curl wig as Jake becoming the new Uncle Tom, and it's this big like struggle of who you're representing inside the slave community, and now you are kind of like the slave captain of the slaves, and part of the reason that it's so fun is because again, like you are just going nuts, trash talking yourself and letting loose of these characters, but it just felt like a very like I don't know. It's just a very interesting window into that metaphor of struggling to represent and fight for the community that you represent versus like being over-compromising and selling out to the community that's oppressing you. And so that's kind of like the metaphor of I don't know how you're feeling about like, am I doing justice or doing right by? Are black people going to see this and be like, Jake selling out doing this skit show, and kind of minimizing black struggles? That's the concern.
Pretty much. I thought when black people saw that, it was like they would be like, they'll look at each other like, man, this nigga cooning. Like, what the fuck? I'm like, pretty much. That's what I thought. Like, he cooning. Like, nah, like that man. And of course, that's not my intent. I was just that I'm just trying to like tell the truth, tell the history. I'm trying to like tell the history, tell the truth, like, but like in a kind of a wacky type way.
Yeah.
In a kind of a stupid way. Not really stupid, but stupid in like a silly way. But that's what I'm mainly worried about as far as the response to people, like how black people are gonna respond to it. Because and I want more the majority of my audience has been white people due to because I do it at mostly like improv venues, and improv has a high concentration of white people. So you know what I'm saying? But I want more white people to see this so they can kind of like smack them in the head, wake them up like, whoa, fuck, you know what I'm saying? But I do want and I want everybody to see it, but I really want white people to see it, so they can like, you know what I'm saying, like, oh shit, you know what I'm saying?
And because the timeline moves so fast, and again because that modern infusion, it really just highlights the whole argument and message that like this stuff is still in the undercurrents of. It's not that long ago that this was escalated to a whole another degree, and it still lingers on. So you were working on doing a part 2 coming up on right at the end of March before the pandemic led to the shutdown of everything. And what was the plan for part 2? I guess let's start there.
The plan for part 2 is just like to pick up where, of course, pick up where the first one left off, or how the new version of it left off. Like I said, the first night the first run of it, it ends with Lincoln. It ends with Lincoln like freeing the slaves or whatever, and and then Jake deciding what he wants to do. Does he want to stay or does he want to leave or whatever? And 2 is just picking up where that left off. But like the new version, the new ending of it, it ends right with it ends right before Jake Gold talks to Lincoln or whatever about the slaves or whatever, to free the slaves or whatever. But it just picks up where it left off, and it's gonna hit another like timeline, probably from like the beginning of the Civil War. Not probably from the beginning of the Civil War to like all the way to like the film Birth of a Nation.
Okay.
The original to like the 1920s to like the 1920s when Birth of a Nation started, and then all the fucking and kind of like the resurgence of the KKK. I'm trying to do like I guess I'm trying to do it like kind of running like Star Wars or something like that. Like
so a trilogy with the potential for a 9 whatever a non-ology is.
No, fuck that. I ain't doing that. But like, I'm kind of running like, the first show, was like kind of triumphant. Was like, there's a new hope. Jake is a new hope, whatever. And then it ends with, and then the next one is going to end with like, well, I don't want to spoil it, but like kind of like the next one, supposed to be like, it's supposed to be dark, like kind of end dark.
Yeah.
And then the next one is like, supposed to be like more hope, but then like it still is dark because America's still shitty. What I'm saying? So kind of like that.
Yeah.
That's kind of like the goal of it.
So you are kind of, or not kind of, but that means that you're planning a trilogy.
Yeah, that's the plan.
Cool. That's awesome.
That is the plan. And they won't be far apart. I wasn't trying to do them 3 years apart. I'm trying to do them like together, like more closer together. That's what I meant.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think Star Wars was like those are like 5 or 6 years apart, so you're still ahead of the game on them.
Yeah, you're
good.
But so this something that's been on my mind recently, and I think a lot of comedians and actors and artists would this would resonate with is just like with the pandemic to begin with, kind of like puts you in a spot of what is the meaning of the comedy and the entertainment stuff that I'm putting out there when all this crisis is happening. And then on top of that, to have the racial protests and the police brutality events is like, what am I doing? Like, with this improv podcast or any of the other like pulp entertainment stuff. Your show has a very prominent message and has always been message driven. But I'm just kind of curious what your thoughts are, like having your show be disrupted by the pandemic, and then now currently with all the protests going on. Like, does it charge you up to have this show to come back to, or do you kind of also struggle with like, is a one-man sketch show the best way to represent this message? Like, do those kind of thoughts go through your mind in all this mess?
Yeah, definitely. Like, I'm definitely like wondering like, what is doing a bunch of characters on Saved by Myself really doing for change? And then like all this shit, and then I'm thinking like, all this shit happened. It's like, everybody's extra fucking woke now and everything. And you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But like, I figure like, but, I you know what I'm saying? But I'm like, so I get kind of like down, like, is this the time to really push this or whatever? But I also think like, yeah, this is like, I think like they need a show like this more than ever. They need content like this more than ever, especially like ever since like the like all the racial protests, and then like there's so many like a lot of white people like going around and be like, what can I do to help? What can I do this? And it's like understanding your history and whatever, like watch a show like this or watch my show and understand like how fucked up things is. So it's kind of like you were saying, James, like it is a big charge to like, okay, now I just gotta go now I gotta spirit. It's not, now I just gotta go super hard because I'm already ahead of the game because I've been talking about this shit for fucking ever. So now just more so like now I just gotta like, you know, really like really hit you on the head, to understand like why the black community the way it is, why there's so much racism, like understanding why this country is so fucked up. And I think, and in addition, like the pandemic, like I think the pandemic woke a lot of people up just as much as the fucking the racial stuff, because how our country responded to the pandemic, as far as like not taking the precautions and bailing out businesses instead of people, or giving them a lot of money but not bailing out people. I think that showed a lot of people that this country really don't give a motherfucker about anybody when it comes down to it. So I think more than ever they need shit like this. Just all this stuff, it just makes me like want to like go harder. And even though the pandemic happened, I still haven't stopped working on stuff. So he's still like, there was like I redid some ideas I had and stuff like that. And me and Mike, actually after I get off the show with you, me and Mike will meet later to like work on some shit. So awesome. It ain't stopped. It ain't stopped. Like great. We charged up. So I'm definitely charged up by this shit.
Well, I like what you said in the beginning, like you're talking about to affect change, to change things, you got to change the way people think. And this is to change the way people think, you have to educate them, get the message out. And this is a great way. Your show is like one of the best ways to get the message out, because you're so charismatic, Jake. You're one of the most beloved members of the improv community. And for you to sit there and just educate and just tell the truth in an entertaining way is incredible. You're doing great work, man.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it. I'm trying, man. That's what I want to do. I've always been like, I've always been interested in just like message driven stuff anyway, like truth telling stuff anyway. In comedy in general, like favorite comedians, you know, I always like Chris Rock and Dave Chappelle because they always tell the fucking truth. Like they talk real shit. They talk about this country and the hypocrisies of the so-called democracy we live in and shit. They always tell the truth. And even like with the hip hop music and stuff. That's why I really originally want to do a hip hop, because like I always listen to stuff like, you know, like Public Enemy, Ice Cube, and stuff like that really talked about social issues, and like they didn't do it in a positive way. They showed you they talked about the negative shit. They hit you in the face with the negative shit and told the truth. They didn't hold any punches, because we don't need to be comfortable. We ain't got time to make people comfortable. We gotta make you feel what we feel, so you can so you can be like, no, this is wrong. We got to change this. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So yeah. I don't know why I did that white voice, but you know.
Hey, fair enough, man.
Yeah.
Right. But so maybe this is the last thing I just want to get your opinion on before we close here, Jake. Is that like, is there room for the pulp entertainment? I mean, like, do you get worn out? We were talking when we were on a call setting up this episode, you have a podcast called Masks Off. It's a really awesome podcast that has a couple episodes that are. You were talking about how you started it just to have a kind of bullshit, shoot the shit podcast with your friends, but
Right.
In light of current events, that you felt compelled and pretty much obligated to switch attention to the protests and crazy news headlines. When do you get back to doing the thing that everyone deserves to do, which is just to kind of like take a load off and have some fun that isn't necessarily message driven? Like, what are your feelings on that?
I think you just gotta feel it out pretty much. You just gotta ease into it. Like don't just switch. Like, okay, we're talking about this few weeks and now we're back to the regular shit. Like, no, kind of, I think that just ease your way out of it. That's what we're trying to do. Just like ease back into it. But even like when we like get back to like kind of normal stuff, like kind of like the normal stuff we talk about, it's still going to be that content. Cause we spoke on shit like that even before all this, even before the George Floyd shit went down. We were talking about that beforehand because we were talking about Ahmaud Arbery and Breonna Taylor, like in our first couple episodes. We was talking about that stuff. We're like, and like just like white privilege and stuff like that. So that content is always going to be there, and like. You know what I'm saying? We black, so we always gonna talk about some real shit.
It's more embedded in the conversation, yeah. And maybe that's the onus that should be put on white people, white passing people, that to integrate those topics more into the daily conversation, because it's not all or nothing, right?
Right.
I feel like that's kind of where I'm trying to be a responsible voice and artist and be like, okay, I can't do it 100% of the time always. I think that, or not that I can't, but like I don't think that that's how it's meant to be. I think that there needs to be a better blend, because I'm almost never doing it before this point, and that shouldn't be the case either. It should be balanced. Yeah.
It was just like how everybody reacted to it. Like people more than ever, they trying to like learn more, bring awareness to everything. I think that awareness should always be there, because because that's how it usually is for like a lot of black entertainment, like music and movies, stuff like that. Like even like with our funny stuff or whatever, like there's always some hint of awareness there, always. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Even even like with the music, like the positive, like the hip hop, like whether it's positive or negative, there's always, or like the bullshit, like the party and bullshit, whatever. There's always some hint of awareness in there somewhere. That's I mean that's how I look at it. That's what I think. So like we moving forward, I think we need to keep talking about things like this and our stuff, but like we're all human. We're not all like serious all the fucking time. You gotta joke. You gotta you gotta do your shit. Yeah.
You mentioned it earlier too, that like if there's I wish this weren't the case, but it is the case that when you are too hot and heavy on the message driven stuff, that people push back and it's like, it's too woke. Everything's so woke. And it's like, well, that doesn't take away from the intention and the message of all these things in entertainment culture and art culture, but the fact of the matter is it's losing its effect if it's too hot and heavy all the time. And so I don't know, like it's just something that I've been wrestling with lately.
Yeah. It's I just think that as far as like where do we fit, like going back to like the other shit, it's just like ease into it, but like don't abandon it. Like always kind of make your content a little more aware than rather just like going back to like the goofy shit. I mean, but like, or just, have a nice blend, what I'm saying? Or whatever. Not to knock the goofy shit, you know what I'm saying?
The goofy shit is awesome, but
Everybody loves the goofy shit.
Because the goofy, but like,
man, sometimes you gotta play Uno with a lion to get your message across, man.
Yeah, totally.
Nice blend, yeah.
Yep.
Nice blend, yeah.
Well, thank you so much for joining
Yes.
and having this conversation with us, Jake. Are there things, we mentioned masks off, are there other things online that you're doing that you want to plug?
Yeah, I'm also in addition to Mask Off, which is every Friday at 9 on Planet Ant streaming platforms on Facebook and YouTube. Also do Boxed In with Friends, with also on Planet Ant streaming platforms. And I got some cover stuff coming up. Like I said, me and Mike McGettigan, we're working on some stuff. Probably have some video stuff coming soon.
Oh, dope.
And also me and Tam White, shout out to Tam White. We working on something with Go soon. So yeah, stay tuned for that shit.
Oh, that's awesome.
That's so good.
We'll make sure to include links in the description. Thanks again for joining us, Jake. I'm glad to know that you're doing well and really excited and inspired by the stuff that you're doing. So it's been great to keep track of it. Thanks again.
Right. Thanks, man. Appreciate it. Yep.
All right. Well, we will catch you next time on Improv FAQ at length. Bye.
Bye.